Well, hello, my YouTube friends. So I finally got some spare time that I can devote to this project. The person who commissioned it, he's starting to become impatient, threatening me with breach of contract, wants to cancel the whole project. Then I'd have to sell them myself on the open market. It'd be a big pain in the you know what. So to avoid all that, I figured I'd go ahead and try and get them finished. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to sand the face of them, because if you look closely, you can see that it's not perfectly flat right here at each corner. And even the face of it, see right there, see that line? So the face of these frames are not perfectly flat yet. I'm going to sand them to make them smooth. And I knew they were that way, and that's why I always keyed off the back of the frame, as I explained previously. So now, in order to sand this down, what I'm going to do, and what I did, so this board right here is my sanding block. And so I wanted to, and I'm using a sanding block. I'll explain that and the reason why in a second. So first, let's talk about this block right here. So you can see it's only flat on one side, right? Flat on that side, not flat on this side. Same thing as these frames. Flat on one side, not flat on the other. So the flat side, I'm going to use that to sand with. Now I want to make sure it's flat where the sandpaper goes. So what I did, I took this piece of plexiglass and this piece of Bakelite, and I checked one against the other. Okay, no movement there, seems pretty flat. If you can hear that. So there's some buildup or something on there somewhere. So let's double check. Okay, that side's flat enough. It's close enough for rock and roll. Now, okay, with that side facing down, the side of the board that's going to hold the sandpaper. So I'm going to put my sandpaper on the flat side of this Bakelite, and I'm going to sand it down so it's as close to flat as, it's not perfectly flat. There's a whole science behind flat, which we're not that worried about it. Even right here, you can see a low spot. Right, so I did sand this whole thing right here, got rid of all the high spots, and I rounded off all the edges. You want nice round edges on your sanding block. Did that all the way around. Now, if you want to be sure that the area that you're using for the sandpaper is flat, then one thing you can do is get a pencil. Sorry, I wasn't ready. So take a pencil, lightly mark the board. Then with your sanding block, and then with your dust brush, you'll see that the pencil lead is gone. So that's flat as it's ever going to be in this workshop. Now, the frame, so what I'm going to do is the side that's going to hold the sandpaper. All right, I'm going to put the sandpaper right there. I'm going to lay it on the frame that needs to be sanded. And with the board, with the 2x4, resting on the frame, as you can see right here, all the way across the frame. And that's why I cleaned up the whole face of the board and rounded off all the corners. because I don't want this part of the board causing damage to the project. But doing it this way, it will always keep it flat, or flat enough, right? As I sand, it'll always be flat compared to the other side of the frame. And if I don't do that, let's say, for example, I just used a sanding block right like this, there's a chance that I could sand like this or sand it like that and round off the edges right here. My edges won't be sharp, and this face, you know, it'll be all wobbly. It may end up a little bit wavy anyway, but it'll be pretty flat, pretty awful flat. So I'm going to get to work on this over the next several hours. I'm going to get both of the faces of these frames brought to an acceptable level of flatness, and then I will continue with the next step. All right, my friends, you have a good day.